JDBC API mainly used for communicate with the database server from the Java applications. So I'll rewind the topic again, what we have discussed in the yesterday briefly. So let us assume this is a Java application. This is a Java application. So and let us assume this is the database. This is the database. Uh, the database name is MySQL. Database name is MySQL. The database name is MySQL. So in between Java application and MySQL, so we will use the JDBC API. We will use the JDBC API. We use the JDBC API. We will use the JDBC API. So from Java application, so we are going to capture the data. So we are going to capture the data. So in the previous example, so I have created So kite database. I have created kite database. So inside the MySQL, I have created kite database inside the MySQL. So in the previous example, I have created the kite database in the MySQL. Inside the kite, I have created the employee table. I have created the employee table. So from Java application, so I have entered the data like about one. So EMP101, and something name Hyderabad, and something email we have used, so we will something email address. I just type here. So 60. So EMP, so 101 at the rate gmail.com. At the rate gmail. And the salary, so which we have stored the 60,000. So from Java, so this is the data. So from Java, this is the data actually. So this data from the Java application, so we will store into the database. So basically, so directly it is not possible. So without the JDBC API, so directly it is not possible to communicate with the database server. So this is not possible. This is not possible. So if I want to communicate with the database server from the Java application, so mandatory that we need to use JDBC API. Mandatory, we need to use JDBC API in middle of the Java application. So let us assume. So in previous example, so I'll insert the data into the database. I have inserted the data into the database. So first we need to communicate with JDBC API. We need to communicate with JDBC API. JDBC API talks to MySQL. JDBC API talks to MySQL database. And then we can insert this 101 AMP 101 and the address and email address and the salary inside the employee table of MySQL. Employee table of MySQL. So for that, we have five steps. For that, we have five steps. The first one is register the driver. The first one is register the driver. So already we have developed some couple of example. So in this example, so we have used the class names like com dot mysql dot com dot mysql dot cj dot jdbc dot driver jdbc dot and the second step. So already we have established the connection. Already we have established the connection. We need to establish the connection. We need to establish the connection. So in order to establish the connection, so we use three parts. First one is URL. That URL is nothing but JDBC colon. So MySQL colon double slash localhost and 3306 slash database we have to use actually. The database we have created in the previous example is of kite. Previous example is kite. So that is the reason why. So we need to supply. So we need to supply. So driver class URL username and password. So step one is register the register the driver. To register the driver, so we have com dot mysql dot cj dot jdbc dot jdbc dot step one. Establish the connection. Establish the connection. Establish the connection. To establish the connection, so we use URL jdbc colon mysql colon double slash localhost 93306 slash the database name is kite and followed by so we need to supply the username that is nothing but every database MySQL contains same as root is the username and in my system the password is empty and the third one is create a statement object create statement object and the fourth one is execute the query execute the query. So already we know that the query is two types. The first one is the first one is execute update. Execute update. The first one is execute update. So this method. So there are two methods for executing the query. There are two methods for executing the query. So we will use execute update for there are two methods for execute the query. So there are two methods. Execute query. For execute update, so execute update will use for create the table. Will use for create the table and will use for insert the table and will use for update the table and will use for delete the records from the table as well as we will use something other queries like alter and truncate, etc. So, etc. So we have two methods. The second one is execute query. So execute query. So execute query is only used for select queries. Is only used for select queries. So all the queries are categorized into two types. For that, for select queries, we use execute query. For non-select query, we use execute update. And the step fifth, close the connection. And step fifth is close the connection. So this is what the stuff we have discussed in the yesterday's class. So these are the five steps of JDBC code. These are the five steps of JDBC code. So if you know these five steps, so you can able to develop a Java program to communicate with the database server. So by using JDBC software, you can communicate with any of the database server. You can communicate with any database server. So, so if you see the example, so all the classes and interfaces are from a package called as java.sql package. All the classes and the interfaces are from java.sql package. So, what is this step one? Register the driver. What is the step one? Register the driver. And this is the class we are using it. This is the class we are using. And the step two is also nothing but establishing the connection with MySQL. For that, we need URL, username, and password. For that, we need URL, username, and password. The URL is nothing but JDBC colon MySQL colon localhost colon 3306 and the database which we have created in the MySQL database, that is Kite. And after that, so we can get the connection by using this get connection method by supplying URL, username, and password. So after getting the contact connection, so we were displaying the connection status. We were displaying the connection status here. And the third step is create the state. The third step is create the statement. And the fourth step is execute the query. So what is the requirement? I would like to insert the data into the table. I would like to insert the data into the table. So that is the reason why execute update method we are using it. Execute update method we are using it. So execute update always returns integer. Execute update always returns integer. So if any number of records are updated in the database, if any number of records are updated in the database, so it will return that number of records. If any records are updated, that means our insertion or deletion or updation is successfully completed. If any number of records are updated, so it will return the count as positive number. It will return the positive number. If the records are not updated or not modified, so it will return the zero. So that is the reason why I am checking the condition. I am checking the condition whether status is returned greater than zero or not. If it is returns greater than zero, that means so the records may be inserted or records may be updated or records may be deleted. So that is the reason why. So we are checking the condition if status greater than equal to zero and employee insertion is successful. And if it is else, so fail to insert, try again and close the connection. So what is the motto is? What is the motto is? So we no need to change the register driver. We no need to change the registered driver. We no need to change the establish the connection. We no need to change the create statement, and we no need to change the close the connection for all the programs. For all the programs. So whatever, either it may be a insertion or either it may be a deletion or either it may be a updation, so for each and every operation within the database, so we are not going to change the register driver, establish the connection, and create the statement object. So that is the reason why. So I can write a single program like this. I can write a single program like this. I'll take a new one. I'll take a new one. So I'll save the file. I'll save the file. So I'll save the file as db constants. I'll save the file as db constants or uh, update update records. Update records dot java. Update records dot java. So update records one dot java. So public class update update records one is the class name, and open the class and close the things and open the class and close the class. So within this I can write a main method. So static void main, public static void main. So within this I can write arguments. I can write the arguments within the array, within the array. So in the next main method, in the next main method, so simply I write a try block. Simply I write a try block. Within the try block, I will write the program. So after a try block, I'll continue with catch block. I'll continue with catch block. The catch block is nothing but I'll write exception E. So within the catch block, I'll write a statement E dot print stuff s. E dot print stuff s. So now, so we are going to write a JDBC code. We are going to write a JDBC code. That JDBC code, so it is example. So what is my example? So I would like to take the values from the keyboard. I would like to take the values from the keyboard. So I would like to take the values from the keyboard. So what are the values I should take? So ID, we have an ID. So we have an employee name. We have an employee name, and we have the address. We have the address, and we have the email ID, and we have the email ID, as well as we have the salary information. We have the salary information. So this information, so like ID, name. So ID in the form of integer, ID in the form of integer, and ename in the form of string, email in the form of string, and as well as address is in the form of string only. Address is in the form of string only, and email in the form of string, and double in the form of sorry, salary in the form of double. So these values should be take. These values should be take. So spelling mistakes are so not a problem. So variable name can be anything. So we can use variable name can be we can use anything. So no need to worry about the variable names. So you can use any name as the variable names here. No need to mention about only ARGS. So it is a just variable name. Okay. So coming to the point, in employee table, I have ID, I have e-name, I have address, I have email, and I have salary. I would like to read the data from the keyboard. I would like to read the data from the keyboard, and after that, I will insert into the table. After that, I will insert into the table. So for that, so we have an API called as Java Standard Edition API. We have an API called as Java Standard Edition API, that is the JSC API. That is what JSC API. So in that API, so we can contain the packages. Inside the APIs, we have contains the packages. Package contains classes and interfaces. Class package contains classes and interfaces. So I am selecting a package called as java.util package. Util package contains interfaces, classes, as well as exceptions. So I am selecting the util package, java.util package. Within the java.util package, there is a class called as a scanner class. There is a class called as scanner class. Within the scanner class, I have some couple of methods to read the data input from the keyboard. To read the data input from the keyboard. Those methods are so next method which return the string. Next method which return the string. Next method which return the string. And next int which return the integer. Next int will return the integer. And we have next double. And we have next double. So which return the double values. So I would like to read the integer data, string data, and as well as double data. So to read this data, so I have a couple of methods here. I have couple of methods in the scanner class. The first one is next method, so which returns string. Next method which returns string. And we have next int method, so which returns integer, and so we have next double, and we have next double, so which returns double. So by using this method, next into method, and next double method, so we can able to read the salary, email, address, e-name, and ID. So that is what my requirement. So these are not Java code. These are first two lines are not Java code. This is about the information I'm commenting it. Single line comment. So we call it as a single line comment. So I'm mentioning in comment. This is not a code. So for a better understanding, so I am writing here. So I'll do one thing. I'll cut here and I'll paste in the paint here. So I would like to read ID. I would like to read ID. So simple. I would like to read ID and the salary. So these are available and methods are nothing but next for string, next int for integer, next double for double. So these methods are available. So these methods are available inside the scanner class, inside the scanner class. The scanner is available inside java.util package. So simply I can create a scanner class object. I can create scanner class object here. So scanner SC is equal to new scanner. Scanner SC is equal new scanner. I need to supply system dot in as the input parameter to the constructor of the scanner. So after object is created, so you need to import the package. So import java dot util dot scanner. Java dot util dot scanner. So because scanner is from a util package, scanner is from util. So after creating the object, so how many records we need to read? Enter name, ID, name and address, email and salary. So five records we need to read the data from the keyboard. So for that, so first I would like to read the ID value. First I would like to read the ID value. For that I am displaying the output system.out.println system.out.println. So within the println, so just to mention enter ID value. Just mention enter ID value. ID in the form of integer. ID in the form of integer. So to read the integer value, so there is a method called as next int. There is a method called as next int in the scanner class. So sc dot next int, sc dot next int, which returns the int value, So this is nothing but employee ID. This is nothing but employee ID. And after that, ID is completed. Now I would like to read employee name. I would like to read employee name. So just to mention, enter employee name or enter name value. Enter name. So name in the form of string. Name in the form of string. So that is the reason why. So I can use next method. I can use next method which returns string. So I can say employee name here. So employee name is completed. So next message I will display. So system dot out dot println. System dot out dot println. System dot out dot println. So this is about enter address value. This is about address value. This is about address value. So address is also in the form of string. So that is the reason why same method called as next method. Same method called as next method. So which returns string, So this is EMP address. This is EMP address. That is employee address. That is employee address. After that, one more message. So system dot out dot println. System dot out dot println. So this is about enter email. So this is about enter email value. Enter email value. Okay. So email is also in the form of string. So that is the reason why again next method. Again next method. So which return the string. Which return the string. I can use employee email. I can use employee email or employee mail or email. You can use like this. So after email, so we should read the data. After email, we should read the data of salary. So this is for salary. This is for salary. So enter salary value. Enter salary value. Enter salary value. So sc dot next salary in the form of double. So we use next double method. We use next double. So which returns the double. Which returns the double value. I'll use e salary. I will use e salary. So what we have done. So I am going to read the details. I'm going to read the details from the keyboard by using the scanner class. The reading part is completed. The only reading part is completed. So what I would like to do is I would like to insert the values. I would like to insert the values inside the database. So reading is completed. Reading is completed. So after reading the data, so I would like to insert the data into the database table. So in the last session, so we have also developed a JDBC code to insert the data into the database actually. But in the previous example, so you can observe this is the today's program, and in the previous example, so just directly we have written the JDBC code. Directly we have written the JDBC code and we have hard coded the values. We have hard coded the values. That means once the program is executing, only these values are going to be updated in the database. But I would like to develop a dynamic program. So I would like to develop a dynamic program. So which reads this ID, email, and address, name, and salary so from the keyboard, and after that, I would like to insert the data into the database. So by writing these statements, so we successfully read the values from the keyboard. So if you want, I can display. If you want, I can display. All right. So next, so just print the value whether all the values are read by the keyboard is correct or not. So simply I can write EID. The value name is EID and the tabular space I am giving. So this is concatenating the string. So plus E name plus so tabular space I am using plus tabular space I'm using. So plus after the name, so I will like to write e address plus tabular space tabular space. So plus email. So I am email. I have read it, and after the tabular space and salary. So that is the salary. So these are the values I am displayed but not updated in the database. So you can execute the program now. You can execute the program now. So command prompt. So the program is available in the desktop. So available in the desktop. Before the So I have successfully compiled and I am executing the program now. I'm executing the program now. So it will ask about ID. So I'll enter 105 and the name. So EMP 105 and at the some email address, suppose EMP1 at the rate. And the salary value I'm entering like this. So these are the values I have entered from the keyboard so that we successfully read the data from the keyboard. After reading the data, so we have to communicate with the database server. We have to communicate with the database server through JDBC API and we'll store in the table called as employee table. So for that, we need to use this steps, same steps like yesterday's class. Register the driver, establish the connection, create statement object, and execute the query and close the connection. So I'll write one by one here. I'll write one by one here. So after this, I'll delete the printing the data, delete the printing the data. So first step, so driver manager dot register driver is a method. Register driver is a method within the driver manager class. So within this class, we need to supply the driver class name com dot mysql dot jdbc dot sorry com dot mysql dot cj dot jdbc dot jdbc dot driver. So this is first step. This is first step. This is first step. The second step is driver manager dot get connection. Driver manager dot get connection. So we have to supply the URL. So that is JDBC colon JDBC colon and MySQL colon double slash local host colon 3306 slash. We have to supply. We have to supply. So the database name which is kite we have created in the MySQL. And we have supplied the username called as root and the password is empty in my laptop. The password is empty in my laptop. The password is empty in my laptop. So this is second step. This is second step. So driver manager dot register driver, driver manager dot get connection. So this is about second step. So first step is completed. So first step is completed as well as second step is also completed. So next, third step. So next is what? Third step. So just so next is third step. So driver manager dot get connection. Driver manager dot get connection. This is our first step. And this is the second step. And the third step is we should use connection. So connection dot so different. So in the previous example, we use create statement. We use what? Create statement. But now within this example, I'm going to use prepare statement. I'm going to use prepare statement. So before we write a prepare statement, I should write a query here. I should write query. The query is must be insert query because I would like to insert the data into the table. Insert the data into the table. So insert into, so table name is called as employee. How many values? So totally five values. ID, name, address, email, and set. ID. name, address, email, and salary. Okay, so five values. So ID is the one, and the name is the two, address is the three, email is four, and salary is five. So I'm going to insert the data into the employee table with five values. First one, comma second one, comma third one, comma fourth one, comma fifth one. So these are called as positional parameters. These are called as positional parameters. So if I want to supply the dynamic data to the JDBC program, if I want to supply the dynamic data to the JDBC program, so we are going to use positional parameters. What are these positional parameters? These parameters index start from 1. This parameter index start from 1. So this is the 1, then this is the 2, and this is the 3, and this is the 4, and this is the 5. So these positional parameters index start from 1. So totally 5 positional parameters are available. Totally 5 positional parameters are available. So what are these? So positional parameters. What are the positional parameters? So positional parameters. Positional parameters. So these positional parameters are nothing but question. Positional parameters are nothing but question mark. The positional parameters are nothing but question mark. The question mark is called as positional. So parameter is nothing but question. So question mark is positional parameter. Question mark is nothing but positional parameter, right? So simply I can say positional parameter is nothing but question mark. So this is positional parameters. Positional parameter index start from 0. So positional parameter index start from 0. So index start from index starts from 1. So not 0. Index start from 1. Index start from 1. So you can supply any number of indexes. You can supply any number of indexes. So positional parameter index is nothing start from 1 actually. So in employee table, so we have 5 records. In employee tables, we have 5 records. That is employee. That is employee. So in employee records, totally 5 records are there. So to the 5 records, we have supplied 5 positional parameters. We have supplied 5 positional parameters. So first one is ID. First one is ID. The second one is name. The first one is ID. The second one is name. So this represent ID, this represent ID, and this represent name, and this represent address, and this represent email, and this represent so this represent ID, this represent ID, and this represent name, and this represent address, and this represent address, and this represent email, this represent email, and this represent salad. And this represent salad. This represent salad. So index start from 0, right? So sorry, 1, right? So this is 1, and this is 2, and this is 2, and this is 3, and this is 4, and this is 4, and this is 4, this is 4, and this is 5. This is 5. So positional parameters are question mark. Positional parameters are question mark. These indexes are start from 1. So 1 is ID, name is 2, and address is 3, and email is 4, and salary is 5. So only these indexes are vary from program to program. So in this example, I am inserting the data. In this example, I am inserting the data. So from start to end columns, from start to last of the columns. The first one is ID, second one is name, third one is address, fourth one is email, and fifth one is salary. So two steps of JDBC is completed. So now, if you have the positional parameter and if you have the dynamic nature, if you have the positional parameter and if you have the dynamic nature, you have to use prepared statement. You have to use prepared statement. You have to use prepared statement. So instead of create the statement object, so we should use prepared statement object. We should use prepared statement object. We have used prepared statement object in the step, in the third step, in the third step. If you have the dynamic nature, if you have the dynamic nature, so we are not going to use a statement object. We are not going to use statement object. We are going to use the prepare statement object. We are going to use the prepare statement object. So now in the third step, in the third step, by using the connection object, I'll use a method called as prepare statement. I'll use the method called as prepare statement. So prepare statement will return. So prepare statement will return prepared statement. Prepared statement. Prepared statement PST. Right? So in the previous example, so we have created the statement object. We have created the statement object. But in this example, so we are creating the prepared statement object. Then what is the difference between a statement and prepared statement is, so statement, by using statement object, we will supply only static data. We will supply only static data with statement object. We will supply only static data by using statement object. But if I want to supply the dynamic data, if I want to supply the dynamic data, so mandatory we need to use the prepared statement. So prepared statement follows the positional parameters. Prepared statement follows the positional parameters. The positional parameters are nothing but question mark. The positional parameters are nothing but question mark. Right? These positional parameters, we can use any number of positional parameters. This positional parameter index start from 1. So in this example, I am inserting the data. So five positional parameters we have used. So five positional matter parameters we have used. The first one is ID, the second one is name, and the third one is address, and the fourth one is email, and the fifth one is salary. Right? So coming to the point, we have supplied the query to the prepared statement. So this is nothing but a first step. This is nothing but a first step. So JDBC are of 5 steps. Out of 5 steps, the third step is right. So if you have the positional parameters, so we were missing something about it to execute the program, to insert the data into the database. So we have not supplied any values to the positional parameters. If the positional parameters are available, so we have to supply the values. We have to supply the values to the positional values. Sorry, we have to supply the values to the positional parameters. We have to supply the values to the positional parameters. We have to supply the values to positional parameters. Positional parameters. Positional parameters. So what are the positional parameters are available? So in our program, so there are five positional parameters. There are five positional parameters. The first one is int ID. The second one is string name. So center ID. The second one is string name. And the third one is the string address. And the fourth one is string email. And the fifth one is double string. So the data format of the employee table is first one is integer, the second one is string, and third and fourth one are also string, and fifth one is a double. The first one and the last one are integer and the double, so remaining all are string. So what we need to do is we need to supply the values. We need to supply the values to the positional parameters. To supply the values, we use set into method. We use set into method. What is the position? What is the position of the ID? So first position. What is the position? First position, comma, comma. So we have to supply the position name first. We have to supply the position name first. That is the first position and the value. And the value is available inside a variable called as EID. The value, the variable available inside EID. The first position EID. So this is a will supply. This is a will supply. And the next one is set string. The next one is set string. So what is this set string index? And next index is second. The immediate index is second. And the name of the data is nothing but available inside ename variable. Ename variable. So like that, you have to supply. So these setter methods are available inside. So these setter methods are available inside an object called as. These setter methods are available inside an object called as prepared statement object. These methods are available inside prepared statement object. So prepared statement object. These methods are available inside the object called as prepared statement object. So this is a so we'll supply the values by using the setter methods. By using the setter methods, these setter methods are available inside the prepared statement object. These setter methods are available inside the prepared statement object. So I can supply. I can supply. So PST dot set int pst dot set int. So 1 comma eid so eid we have created already. So next pst dot set string pst dot set string, that is 2 comma so employee name 2 comma employee name. So next pst dot so PST dot set the string 3 comma. So set the string 3 comma. So what is the third one? Address EADBR. EADBR. So that is the third position. What is the fourth position? So email. So set the string. So 4 comma email 4 comma email. The variable name is email. So we should copy from this. So email. And the fifth one is pst dot set string. So pst dot set string of last column salary. Last column is salary. That is the index is 5. And so we can use the variable name called as ESAL. So this is how we supply the values to the positional parameter. And after that, so we can use the method to execute the query. So what is the first step? Execute the query. So for insert, for insert, we use execute update. We'll use execute update here. So next, pst dot execute update pst dot execute update pst dot execute update, which returns same like yesterday's class, which return status. So within the condition, I'll check whether status greater than 0 or not. If greater than 0, so it inserted successfully. That means it is inserted successfully. So system dot out dot println. So something special. So insertion. So insertion is successful. Insertion is success. The insertion is success. If it is else, if it is else, So insertion is failed. Insertion is failed. So system.out.println. System.out.println. So fail to insert. Fail to insert. Fail to insert. So simply, I am going to import the package here. So package name is java.sql package.star. SQL package.star. All the names and columns will be imported. So if you mention the style. So after that, so I'll start my SQL here. I'll start my SQL here, the database. So start the MySQL. Start the MySQL database to verify. To start the MySQL database to verify the data is inserted out. The data is inserted out. The data is verified. Go to the database called as Kite. Go to the database called as Kite and go to the table called as employee. Go to the table called as employee. So we have only one record that is 102. We have only one record that is 102. So I'll increase the email. I'll increase the email length. I'll increase the email length. It should be 50 characters. Okay, done. So only one record is available inside the table. That is 102 EMP1. Okay. So after that, so before we execute, we need to set class path to the jar file. We need to set class path to the jar file. MySQL.chal. MySQL.chal. So Java C space update records one dot Java. Update records one dot Java. So double cannot be converted to string. So wrong method we have used here. So next double. So if it is a double, so we need to use set double method. We need to use set double method. Okay. So right, coming to the point, Java records dot Java, and after that Java space update records one. Update records one. So Java space update record one. Step right. CD space one drive or CD space a desktop and the CD space new folders two. So class path set class path equals to mysql.jar semicolon dot semicolon and Java space update records one dot Java. In Java space update records one. So enter ID value. So let us assume not one employee 101 and address value. Suppose let us assume Kakinada. Let us assume Kakinada and email address employee 101 at the rate gmail.com and enter salary value suppose of 50,000. Suppose 50,000 and enter. So check near syntax Kakinada or something corresponding to manual. There is error. So query problem. So insert into employee values we should write. Insert into employee values we should write actually. Okay. So CLS Java update request. Sorry. Java, Java C, Java C, and Java update records. So 101 employee 101 and address same of Kakinada and email address employee 101 at the rate gmail.com and salary So suppose 70,000 and enter. So you can see the message insertion is success. You can see the message insertion is success. That means within the database, the data is inserted. Whatever the data, 101 employee, 101 Kakinada, and 70,000 salaries inserted, you go and verify within the employee table. So data is inserted successfully. So one more record I would like to insert. One more record I would like to insert. So 103. So EMP 103 and value that is address. So I'll enter Hyderabad and so EMP 103 at the rate gmail.com. Even at the rate gmail.com. Some salary I would like to enter 80,000. So insertion is success. So 103 also will be executed in the database. So refresh 103 is also inserted into the database. I would like to execute one more time. I would like to execute one more time. So this time 104. So EMP 104 and address is from Bangalore. Address is from Bangalore and email address EMP 104 at the rate gmail.com at the rate gmail.com and enter salary is nothing but some 75,000. So here again, so data is inserted, go and verify so whether data is updated or not. So you can mention the data is inserting into the database. I would like to enter one more record. So 105. So EMP 105. So address is nothing but something Chennai. So something Chennai. So EMP 105 at the rate gmail.com as a value and the salary for something 65,000. So the data is inserted. So you can verify. You can verify within the table. You can verify in the table. So how many records totally? Five records are available. Totally five records are available. So now this is how dynamically, this is how dynamically you can insert the data. This is how dynamically you can insert the data by using the prepared statement object. So this is not possible in statement object. This is not possible in statement object. So this is how you need to so know the difference between statement and prepared statement object. So now as of now, we have done with insertion, we have done with insertion, so we have done with update, we have done with update, and we have done with delete. So, but I have not uh, demonstrated the program for the selection. So whatever the data is available within the database, that should be retrieved. That should be retrieved. So for select query, so we use a method called as execute query. We use a method called as execute query. So no need to change any program. No need to change any program. So no need to change the
41, 42.
no need to change the register driver, get connection, query, and execute update. Okay, so most of the stuff is same. Most of the stuff is same. So just I'll take another program. Just I'll take another program. I will save it as I will save it as so retrieve records.java. So retrieve records dot Java. Retrieve records dot Java. The file name and class name of them should be same. So I am using the class name called as retrieve records. So public class retrieve records. Retrieve records. So within this class, I am going to write again main method. I am going to write main method. So public static void main. Public static void main. So string and variable name can be anything. So method open and method close. So within this, I am writing the try. I am writing the try. So try open and try close. And after that, I'll write catch here. I'll write catch here. So catch contains some exception. Catch contains some exception. So within the catch, I'll write just a statement. Print stop press. Print stop press. Print stop press. The same program. The same program. I just copy from here. I'll just copy from here. Step 1 to step 3. Step 1 to step 3. So what is the step 1? Register the driver is a common. Get connection is also common. But but what is the change? The query we have to change. The query we have to change. So here I am using select star from employee. Select star from employee. So select star from employee. So when you write this query, so you can get all the data from the employee table. You can get all the data from the employee table. So now so what is the prepared statement? So there are no positional parameters. There are no positional parameters. So if there are no positional parameter, you no need to supply the values. If the positional parameters are available, then only you should supply the values. If the positional parameters are not available in the query, so you no need to supply. So in this example, I am using the query called as select star from employee. So we should able to retrieve all the records from the database table. So there is no positional parameters. So that is the reason why you no need to supply any values. Directly, you can execute the fourth step. You can execute the fourth step. So what is the fourth step? Execute the query. What is the fourth step? Execute the query. So for execute the query, there are two queries. There are two methods. For create, insertion, update, and delete, we will use execute update. We will use execute update. But for select query, we use execute query. For select query, we use execute query. So in this example, so I am using select query. I am using select query. So for select queries, we should use execute query method. We should use execute query method. So pst dot execute query. Pst dot execute query. So which returns result set which returns result set, which returns result set. So I can use result here. I can use result as the variable. So this is what fourth step. This is what fourth step. And after this, and after this. So we are selecting the data from the database. We are selecting the data from the database. So that means all the records from the database in the employee tables will be retrieved. Will be retrieved. So you can observe. So these are the data are available inside the employee table. So these tables are available in the MySQL. So this data is available in the MySQL. You should get this data to the Java, to the Java. So what we need to do is by supplying query, by supplying this query, so by execute query, you can get all the records in the result set object. So what is the result set? Result set, it contains the database records. Result set contains the database records. So when you have a select query, the result must and should be retrieved from the database. All the retrieved data is available and stored inside the result set object. Result set object. So that is the reason why. So result set contains the data. So whatever the data we have, so we have like 101. So we have 101. So, comma, EMP 101, comma, something, address, Kakinada, some address, Kakinada, and employee 101 at the rate gmail.com, at the rate gmail.com, comma, and salary. So, let us assume some salary. Let us assume some salary. So, I can copy the data here. I can copy the data. So all this data is nothing but so ID, name, address, and email address, right? So simply. So you can place like this. So this is the data we have. This is the data we have. So this is the data we have in the database. So when you write select query, so it retrieves all this data. It retrieves all this data. So that is column row one, row two, row three, row four, and row five. Row three, row four, and row five. So this is how we have the data. This is how we have the data. So ID and name, ID and name and some address, some email and salary, some email and salary. So this is how the data is available. So this is how the data is. So I'll try to differentiate the so name and something. This is ID and this is the name. And, this is the address. Let us assume this is the address, and this is the email, and this is the salary. So entire this is called as result set object. Is called as result set object. Entire this called as result set object. Entire this called as result set object. Entire this is called as result set object. So what is result set? Result set contains the data which is retrieved from the database. The data which is retrieved from the database. So this can be retrieved by using getter methods. This can be retrieved by using the getter methods. So we have getting, we have get string, we have get string, we have get string, and we have get double, and we have get double also. So by using either name, so to these methods, to these methods, so you can supply to these methods, so you can supply anything. So to these methods, you can supply anything. So there are two options. There are two options. One is to this getter methods, you can supply column name. So you can supply column name, or you can supply column index, or you can supply column index. So already we know that index start from one. Index start from. So to this getter methods, either you can supply, either you can supply, either you can supply column name, or so you can supply column name or column index. You can supply column name or column index to the so column names and column index to the methods of getter methods. Methods of getter methods. You can supply column index to the so getter methods. You can supply the column index to the getter methods. These getter methods are available inside the result set. These getter methods are available inside the result set. Result set. Okay. So what is the column name? The column name is ID, name, address, email, salary. What are the column indexes? What are the column names? What are the column names? Column names are available in ID. So what are the column index? Just a minute. So what are the column names? ID, name, address, email, and salary. Email and salary. These are column names. These are column names. These are column names. Then what are the column indexes? What are the column indexes? 1 is the ID, 2 is the name, 3 is the address, 4 is the email, and 5th is the salary. And 5th is the salary. 5th is the salary. So ID is 1. ID is 1. Name is 2. Address is 3. And email is 4. And salary is 5. So these are column names and these are column indexes. These are column names and these are column indexes. So you can supply any column name or column index to the getter method, to the getter methods, to the getter methods. These getter methods are available inside the result set. What is result set? Result set is an object. Result set is an object contains contains retrieve data contains retrieve data from database. So result set is an object. Result set is an object. Result set is an object which contains result set is an object which contains retrieved data from the database. Retrieved data from the database. Retrieved the data from the database is called as result set. Is called as result set. So result set contains what? It is retrieved, it contains retrieved data from the database. So that data can be retrieved by the getter methods. The data can be retrieved by the getter methods. So to these methods, you can supply the column name or column text. So I will just write while rs dot next, while rs dot next method. So next method always returns true. So next method always returns true. Next method always returns true. So next method always return true if the data is available. It always returns true if the data is available. If the retrieved data. What data? Retrieved data. So retrieved data is available. Data is available. It will returns false. It will returns false. It will returns false. If the retrieved data is not available. The retrieved data is not available. So RS dot next method. That means result set next method. RS means result set. The next method always returns true if the data is available. If the next method returns always false if the data is not available. If the data is not available. So that is the reason why. So I am writing the result set dot next method. If the true, if the condition is true, I'll display the data. I'll display the data. So system dot out dot println. So system dot out dot println. So system dot out dot println. So result dot getter method I should use. First one I should display the ID. That is the reason why int int method. Get int method I am using. So I can use either column name or column index. I can use either column name or column index. So for the first time, I will use the column names. For the first time, I'll use the column names here. Okay. So column names are nothing but get int of ID. Get int of ID. Get int of ID. In the next step. In the next step. So I'll write get string method. I would like to get name. This third step. The third step, I will write get string of address. Get string of address. Get string of address. So in the fourth one also, I will write the same statement. So which takes email, which takes email. In the fifth step, we should take salary. We should take salary. We should take salary. So this is how we will write. And after that, so we can close the connection. We can close the connection by calling close method. This is fifth step. This is fifth step. Okay. So 5 steps are completed. So with execute query with select query. Okay. So just to go to the program, clear the screen and Java C space, Java C space, update records one dot Java and Java space update records. Sorry. So this is not a program. So our program is retrieve records. Our program is retrieve. So this is the old one to insert the data. So I am not going to insert the data. I should able to retrieve the data. So cannot find symbol. We should import the packages. So import java.sql.stem. This is the basic package. Contain all the related JDBC code. JDBC code. Right. Go to the retrieve records.java. Successfully compiled and execute the program. So Java space retrieve records.java. So all the records are retrieved. All the records are retrieved here. So 101, employee 101. So 103, 104, and 1. So simply I can display like this. Simply I can display like this. So print method I'm going to use. So instead of on print new line, so print a new line. So after printing the ID value, after printing the ID value, I'll give a tabular space. I'll give a tabular space. After name also, I'll give this tabular. After address also, I'll give the tabular. After email also, I'll give the tabular. And after salary, I'll give the new line. I'll give the new line. So for ID, name, address, and for email and salary. So we were using the tabless page. After one record is completed, I am displaying a new line here. So observe the change. Observe the change. So Java say retrieve records and Java space retrieve records. So these are the values are available inside the database. So these are the values are available inside the database. So this is how we'll retrieve the records from the database. So suppose let us assume. Suppose let us assume. So I'll delete. I will stop the server. I will stop the server here. So MySQL which is not running. MySQL is not running. I'll try to execute the program. I'll try to execute the program. So it will give an error message. It will give an error message. The error message is nothing but communication exception, communication link failure. So the data should be retrieved from the database. The data should be retrieved from the database. So without starting up the MySQL, so it is not possible to retrieve the data from the keyboard or retrieve the data from the database. The connection is refused. The connection is refused. So mandatory that we should start the MySQL and we can execute the JDBC code to retrieve the data from the database. So these are the data. So you can wait for some time to start the server and we will get the data. So wait for some time. So it is taking time. Mm, Same problem. So my SQL is not started. Started. My SQL is started. So you can observe the tables data here and go to the program. So CLS. So Java C retrieve records dot Java and Java space retrieve records. So the data is retrieved successfully. So now all the data. So instead of displaying all the data, so I will give some ID number from the keyboard. I will give the ID number from the keyboard. So either 101 or 102, 103 or 104 or 1. So among this data, I will give any of the ID. So what is the program should do? So it should retrieve the a particular record if it is available. If it is not available, it should display employee does not exist. So that program I should develop. That program I would like to develop. So no need to do anything. Just copy. Just copy same program. No change. Just program copy. No change. Change the class name. So that is recovery card is already available. So I will change it to retrieve records. So I will say employee record. I will say employee record, employee record, employee record search, employee record search. I'll save the file as same.java. The same program, same program. So I am changing the condition here. I'm changing the condition here. So before we change, I would like to read the ID. I would like to read the ID by using scanner class. By using scanner class. By using scanner class. So in the first program, so we have used the scanner class to read the data ID. To read the data ID. I'll just copy from there. I'll just copy from there. So enter ID to search. Enter ID to search. Enter ID to search. So just or nothing is changed. Only these two lines and import the package. And after that, in the query, I'll use select star from employee where ID is equal to something. The something means positional parameters. What is this? What is this? Positional parameter. What is this? Positional parameter. How many positional parameters are? Only one. So index start from one. If the positional parameters are available, if the positional parameters are available, we need to supply the values. We need to supply the values. So in this example, I don't have any five positional parameters. I have only one positional parameters. So you have to supply that one positional parameter itself. That is ID in the form of ID in the form of integer. So only one I have. So that is the reason one index obviously one that is available inside the variable called as value we have to supply that is EID. EID. So how many records we can retrieve? Only one record we can retrieve. So that I can use if condition. I can use if condition. If it is not available, if it is not available, so it execute else condition. It execute else condition system dot out dot println. So system dot out dot println. So just write employee doesn't exist. Employee does not exist. So employee doesn't exist. Employee doesn't exist. So if the if condition is true, so just write. So retrieve the records. If the employee is available, so it will retrieve the records. If the employee is not available, it will retrieve and display the employee doesn't exist. So no change, no big change in the retrieve records by ID. No big change in the retrieve records by ID. So just I have read the data ID from the keyboard by using the scanner class and I have modified while to if condition. So if it is all the employee table, so you don't need to write the where condition. You don't need to write the where condition. So it retrieve all the records. It retrieve all the records. But a particular ID if you want to retrieve the particular ID if you want to retrieve. So we have to read the ID from the keyboard. You have to read the ID from the keyboard so that ID should be supplied by using positional parameter. If the positional parameters are available, you need to supply the values. I have only one positional parameter, so I have supplied that value. So that is in the form of integer. So I have used to set out that. So that so only one record I can able to retrieve. Only one record I can able to retrieve because so we are using the ID to search the employee. So at the most we can retrieve only one record. Okay, done. So after that, we are using the if condition. If the condition is true, all the information about that ID will be displayed. If the record is not available, it will display employee does not exist. So I'll compile the class here. So EMP search, EMP record search. So successfully compiled. So I will execute EMP search. Enter ID to search. I'll enter 101. So if the 101 is available, so it should display the values. So obviously 101 is available. That is the reason why it has supplied. I'll enter 102. So 102 should be retrieved and displayed. If I enter 103, so it should display so 103 record. If I apply so 104, so it should display 104 record. If I enter 105, so it should display 105 record. So like that. So it should display the data. So if it is available, suppose let us assume if I enter 106, so obviously 106 is not available. Obviously 106 is not available. So if the ID, wrong ID will be supplied. So it should display employee does not exist. So if I supply 111, so employee does not exist. If I supply 100, so employee does not exist. If I supply 105, it should display the data. So by using the ID also, by using the ID also, so we can able to retrieve a particular employee. So this type of program will use in the login. We'll use in the login application. So when you find out any Google application or Facebook application, so if the valid details, so when you enter the valid details, so then only we can able to log in into the system or log in into the application. So until unless we enter the valid data, so it is not possible to access the application. So this type of code will use in the so login application. This type of data will use in the login application. So let us assume. Let us assume. So you can retrieve the data by using the class name and class indexes. Class name and class indexes. So class indexes start from 1 to 5. So for example, so as of now we have used of the column names. So now I'll use column indexes. I'll use column indexes now. I'll use column indexes. So you can use anything. Either you can use column name or column index. Or I can use column names or column index to the getter methods. Getter methods. Okay. So what is the program name? Employee record search. Employee record search. So CLS. So CLS Java C employee record search dot Java and Java space employee record search. Enter ID to search. So 555 it is not available. So table 2 Java search 222 it is also not available or something data so which is 104. So is it available? So if it is available, it should retrieve the records. So you can use the column names or column indexes. So what is the motto of these result set is? So all the records are retrieved, all the records are retrieved and stored inside the result set. So it contains the data. So by using the next method, so you can retrieve. The next method always return true if the data is available. So next method always return false if the retrieve records are not available. So by using better methods, you can retrieve the data by using column names or column indexes. Column names or column indexes. So this is about JDBC code. This is about JDBC code. By using this JDBC code, so you can able to retrieve the records, delete the records, or update the records. Suppose the same program I need to copy the same program. I'll copy. So I would like to delete the data by supplying ID. I would like to delete the data by supplying ID. So same data I'll copy. So same data I'll copy. I'll change the program name. So EMP record delete. So EMP record delete. I'll save the file. I'll save the file. So delete EMP record dot Java. Delete EMP record dot Java. So enter ID to delete. Enter ID to delete. So instead of select query, so we should use delete query. So delete from employee. So delete from employee. So delete from employee where ID is equal to something. So if it is delete query, if it is delete query, so which method we should execute? So which method we should execute? Execute update, not execute query. We should use execute update, not execute query. So I'll change it to execute query. I'll change it to execute query. So execute update. So execute update always returns int, always return int. So int result, same parameters, result greater than zero, result greater than zero. So the data is nothing but the system dot out dot println. So system dot out dot println. So deletion is successful. So deletion is successful. So deletion is successful. So deletion is successful. So employee doesn't exist. Employee doesn't exist. So just go to the program. Just go to the program. So save the file and Java C space and Java C space, Java C space. So just observe. So by using ID, I'm deleting. So emp delete records dot Java. So successfully compiled Java space. So delete emp delete. So emp delete. So emp delete. So enter 102. 102. So 102 I'm going to delete from the database. 102 I'm going to delete from the database. So observe 102 is available or not. So if it is available, I will try to so retrieve. So deletion is successful. Go to the ID and verify whether 102 is deleted or not. So successfully deleted. So suppose let us assume again 102 I'll supply. So again 102 is supplied. So employee does not exist. So this is how so we will able to update the records or delete the records or retrieve the records by using the JDBC. So JDBC is important for project development because in the projects we will store the data into the database tables. Okay, so this is how we need to manage the data by using JDBC. So JDBC is nothing but a set of classes. So these are the programs so we have written. So all the programs are same. All the programs are same. So instead of register driver, you can also use class dot per name also. You can also use class dot per name also. For class dot per name, we have to supply the string value com dot mysql dot cj dot jdbc dot driver jdbc dot driver. So this is also nothing but first step. This is also nothing but first step. This is also nothing but first step. So any of the thing you can use. Either you can use uh, class dot per name or driver manager dot register driver. As a first step, you can use anything here. As a first step, you can use anything here. Either you can use a driver manager dot register driver. Either you can use driver manager dot register driver, or else you can use, or else you can use class dot per name clustered farming. So this is about first step. So anyone is fine. Anyone is fine. So what is the difference between a registered driver and class name is? So the registered driver will supply the object. So the register driver will supply the object with a new and parenthesis. With a new and parenthesis you can observe. But for the class dot kernel, you can use only class name. You can use only class name. So this is the main difference. This is the main difference. So if it is a registered driver, will supply the object of driver class. Will supply the object of driver class. So if it is a class dot kernel, We will supply only driver class name. We will supply only driver class name. So this is the main difference. This is the main difference to the register driver and register driver and so class dot for name. Register driver and class dot for name. So if it is a register driver, we will supply the object of the driver class. If it is class dot for name, we will supply the driver class name. So you can use class dot for name also. I'll delete this register driver. So I'll continue with class dot for name. So anything is fine. Anything is fine. So I would like to delete one more record. I would like to delete one more record. So Java C, so record delete and Java space record delete. So 102 is not available, already deleted. So now I will delete 101 also. 101 is deleted successfully. I'll try to delete one more time. 101 is available. If it is available, it will delete. If it is not available, it will show the message employee does not exist. So this is how we'll develop the JDBC code in the Java programming to communicate with the database server and perform the operations. So this is about your complete JDBC and I'll verify so whether all the topics related to the JDBC is covered or not in the syllabus as per the syllabus. Just to give a minute. See. So the topic of JDBC is completed. So there is a JDBC architecture you have. There is a JDBC architecture. I will show you the JDBC architecture. So you can simply go to the Google website, right? Google.com. JDBC architecture, JDBC architecture diagram. So this is the architecture diagram. Simply whatever the class we have discussed. So JDBC is an API. So JDBC an API. So this is the architecture. So Java, servlets or updates, etc. So JDBC API, driver manager, SQL server, Oracle, so data source. So these are the architecture. This is the architecture. So in the first class, I have shown the same diagram. So from Java application user interface, you can communicate with any database server. So this is the architecture and the connection and the driver manager and the driver manager. So there are types of JDBC. There are types of JDBC. So these are not important, two tier or three tier. So these are important. So type 1, type 2, type 3. So type 1, type 2, type 3 drivers. Type 1, type 2, type 3 drivers we have. So type 1, type 2, type 3 drivers. So we use type 4 driver, which is fully Java driver. So we are not going to use network protocol driver, native API driver, and JDBC, ODBC, bridge driver. So this is old driver. This is old driver, and this is completely uses native classes. This is completely uses native classes, and this is completely uses depends on the network protocol. And this is thin driver, which is used very well. So this is nothing but so we are using one file now. So we are using one file that is connector that is connector.java. So that is fourth driver we are using it. This is fourth driver we are using it. That is fully thin driver. That is MySQL connector Java. So connector, MySQL connector is a jar file. MySQL connector is a jar file. So simply I can use MySQL connector is a jar file. So this is called as type 4 driver. This is called as type 4 driver. The jar file is called as type 4 driver. The jar file is called as type 4 driver. So we have types of driver, type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4. Type 1 is JDBC, ODBC bridge driver. Type 2 is native API driver, and type 3 is network protocol driver, and type 4 is thin driver. We are using fourth driver, that is MySQL connector J dot jar file. MySQL connector jar. It is the communication or mediator. It is the mediator. So it is the mediator. So in between, in between Java and database, Java and Java application and database, Java application and database. It is the mediator in between. So Java application and database. So this is about complete JDBC. This is about complete JDBC. So if you have any doubts regarding the session in the previous session, so you can ask some doubts. Anybody, any from, do you have any doubts or any questions? So no one is responding, right? So this is completely overview of the JDBC, so which is very, very important. So you can learn from this class and prepare well and write the exams. Okay, so all the best. Bye. I'm mind of the class.